Hello, my name is Grin, and this is my beard. So, what crumb am I pulling out of my beard today? Well, it has to do with this presidential election that's happening in the United States right now. Being that I'm in Japan, I get to have a backseat view of what's going on or what people think outside of America of the stuff that's happening inside of America. Specifically about this election between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Now, I don't know if this is just my area or if it's everywhere in Japan. I really don't know. All I can tell you is what I see or what I get out of people here in my area. And most of the people who are Japanese in my area think that, to be honest, they think Donald Trump is a joke. Like it's just not not a funny joke either. um, Most of the time when people ask me, "What do you think, Kamala or Trump?" in Japanese people, um, I don't answer. I usually give them a, "Well, I don't really want to answer that or whatnot." But it's mostly the question is, "What do you think of Trump?" It's never, "What do you think of Kamala?" It's always, "What do you think of Trump?" And I'm like, well, why is that? Well, I think the main reason for that is because most of what Trump does is pretty inflammatory. I mean, he really pushes the envelope when it comes to pushing people's buttons. And he'll say whatever in order to get publicity. It seems like he goes by the mantra all publicity is good publicity, even if some people don't agree with that. Some things happen, like his recent rally at Madison Square Garden, where he had some very unfortunate comedians say some very unfortunate things about um, Americans, specifically about Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico. Uh, yeah, that's America. I'm sorry. It's not a good thing to alienate Americans. It's like saying people in Washington are all hillbillies that need to leave America. It's There's this huge mountain of trash in America. I think it's called Wyoming. That kind of stuff. During a political atmosphere, I don't think is the proper um, kind of jokes that you should. I mean, read the room. Okay, maybe they read their room of their specific area in that event at that event. Maybe people are like that there, but then that just makes me wonder: don't these people have any consideration for other people or reality? That kind of talk just doesn't seem to fit when you're trying to win votes. All publicity is good publicity, I guess. I don't know. I'm hearing that a lot of uh, people a lot of men specifically are gravitating towards the Republican side, and that boils down, or so I've seen online, that boils down to how specifically white men. Oh, I'm one of those. Are being alienated by the whole um, what is it? The men, women attacking white men. I don't know, or just the attack on white men, white privilege of white men, as if white women don't have privilege too. I don't know. It's it's kind of disconcerting about what's going on in the U.S. right now, and there's just a lot of snickers and smiles about it here with Japanese people who think a lot of it is just what you can't do anything but grin and laugh. That's pretty much it. Uh, they he did what he said what they did what, huh? Uh, and it doesn't help that Joe Biden, with his speech impediment, can't say a proper sentence without making huge mistakes, and not correcting him at that time. You know, he stumbles into his words, and rather than realizing, oops, I said something that people are going to, you know, misunderstand, I should clear that up. He just keeps going as if people just understand what he's really trying to say, which isn't the case. Which is great, in my opinion, seeing all that and seeing what's going on. I think it's a fantastic choice by Joe Biden to not um, run for president again. I think it should have been done sooner, and I think the white man vote, white male vote in America would have been much more easy to acquire if they had just let Bernie Sanders take the lead in the election. But then again, he's getting old too. Uh, I saw him saying, "Oh, how can I possibly endorse Kamala Harris when I just totally cannot agree with her actions and stance towards the Middle East and Israel." Okay, but then he continued on to say, because there's no other choice, because the Trump administration is worse. All right, so we're back to the same argument every election. Which piece of shit do you want in your sandwich? Neither one really, fits the bill for everyone. Um, Me being, I would like to consider myself a centrist. I don't agree or disagree with uh, everything on either side. I agree with some of both sides, and I disagree with some of both sides. So none of those choices are good for me. I don't feel like there's a balanced option to choose from. And when there's no balanced option, the only option you can choose is the one that is the least likely to cause the most problems. And for me, specifically, I think the one who is most likely to cause the most inflammatory problems, just by way of not thinking before speaking or doing things without consideration of others, would be Donald Trump. He will say what's on his mind, which is probably refreshing for some people, but I've learned over my time that you really shouldn't just say what's on your mind. Um, he's You got to be more political about it, especially when you're dealing with other countries. If he was just the president of the United States and there was someone else that did all of the work with all of the other countries outside of the United States, then maybe it would be okay. We would have actual politicians, actual um, people who could be, discreet and choose words more effectively when speaking to outside people of outside cultures. Since I live in Japan, I can tell you right now that it is really important to have a high consideration for the culture that you are approaching or communicating with. It is it's very important to keep a good rapport, and that rapport is just being eroded and destroyed. I really don't know. There are apparently a lot of people who in Japan, a lot of Japanese people who are supportive of Donald Trump. I saw a video of some Japanese people in, I think it was in Osaka or something like that, that had made a an effigy of Donald Trump with his hands out like this and glowing eyes, and they were parading him through the streets. I have no idea if this was a joke or if they were serious or what, but it was quite in the And the style of Japanese humor is quite humorous. If you are familiar with Japanese humor, it is very very funny. Japanese humor is very simple in some cases. It's they don't really do the whole listen and then there's a punchline. That thing isn't such a big thing here. Now, what they do here mostly is the slapstick kind of comedy, Laurel and Hardy esque style, Three Stooges style stuff has been popular. Now it's starting to evolve, but mostly, yeah, it's mostly Schadenfreude or Schadenfreude, which is like the amusement of watching the suffering of others when they make mistakes, something like that. And that's pretty popular in Japanese humor. Somebody makes a mistake and everybody laughs at them, and that's pretty much the way it is. And that kind of goes with the culture because here in Japan, you don't want to make those mistakes. When people are meeting other people, they're very diplomatic about it. They have a special way of handling meeting new people and interacting with them. And then they have this uchi and soto, which is uchi is all the people in your inside group, and soto are all the people in your outside group, and you treat them differently. Um, so it's really important to have that diplomacy, something that I think, even though Donald Trump might have some great ideas, I don't believe his business practices are great. I think his business practices are mostly fraudulent. Uh, Luckily, I have never ventured to try to join one of his schools or eat his steaks or buy his coins, but he seems to have a lot of money making ideas that don't seem to really go anywhere. And uh, he's made a lot of mistakes in financing and money and whatnot. So I don't think that his strong point is that. I don't, and he's definitely not diplomatic. He's not willing to just bite his tongue when he wants to say something about somebody or wants to say what he really thinks about somebody. Okay, honesty is honesty really the best way to go about these things? Considering um, I can't verify how honest most of the things he says is. And that goes back to the whole um, Haitians eating cats and stuff being illegal, being illegally in America type of thing. And as far as I've heard from the government responses, those Haitians are legally in the United States and they're not eating cats and dogs. I don't know. It seems like they'll say anything if it makes the news, if it gets them time in front of people. And I think what they're going for is just being seen. The more they're seen, the more likely people will vote for them just because they see him. He's there. He's popular. Not not popular for all the best reasons, but he's popular. Maybe that's good for him. Anyways, that's what was on my mind and the crumb that was in my beard. I hope everything works out and this come election time, everything chills out. I really hope it's just a election and no one complains after the results. No complaints, just accept the election and move on and get this done with. Whoever wins, congratulations to you, whoever you are. Just move on. All right, thanks.